In this lecture, we will discuss about the concept of power factor correction. So, power factor correction. So, we know that the power factor is the phase angle between cosine of phase angle between voltage and current, and we know that the power factor value lies between 0 and 1, and we also know that the power factor it should be always equal to 1, but it is practically impossible to maintain at unity. So what we do is we normally make the power factor value closer to 1, okay, nearer to the value of 1. Now why do we have to do that is power factor, if it is closer to 1, what does it mean? That the voltage and current are almost in phase with each other. If that is the case, then the current required by the load will get reduced. We will see how that happens. So here, power factor correction, that is what we are going to talk about. So we know that most domestic loads such as washing machines, air conditioners and refrigerators, these are the most commonly used loads in household areas, and industrial loads such as induction motors are inductive and operate at a low lagging power factor. So these loads are always inductive in nature, that is by construction itself it is inductive, we cannot do anything about that. Okay, all these loads are inductive in nature, right? If it is inductive in nature, then normally we will have a lagging power factor and they have a low power factor, right? So what we have to do is we have to improve this power factor, right? So that is what we call it as power factor correction, right? So we cannot change the construction of the loads. Instead, what we are going to do is we improve the power factor, right? So the process of increasing the power factor without altering the voltage or current to the original load is known as power factor correction. Now take this, look at this circuit diagram. So we have a supply of voltage V and we have an inductive load, a resistance and an inductance connected in series. So this is an inductive load and the current absorbed by this load is taken as IL, right? This is the original inductive load. So now we are going to improve the power factor of this load. So let us see, since most loads are inductive as shown in this figure, a load's power factor is improved or corrected by deliberately installing a capacitor in parallel with the load. Now we know that this is inductive in nature. So what we are going to do is we are going to add a capacitor in parallel such that the effects are nullified and it makes a power factor closer to 1. So what we are going to do is we are going to add a capacitor in parallel with the inductive load. Now the effect of adding a capacitor can be illustrated using either the power triangle or the phasor diagram of the currents involved. The figure 11.28 shows the latter, where it is assumed that the circuit in figure 11.27 has a power factor of cos theta 1, while the one in 11.27b has a power factor of cos theta 2. Now you can see the second diagram here. Here also we have the same inductive load which has a current IL and we have connected a capacitor in parallel, and this capacitor absorbs a current of IC, and the total current in the circuit we take it as I. So current through the inductor is IL, current through the capacitor is IC, and the total current is I. Now look at this phasor diagram. This is the voltage V, and you can see that this indicates the current IL. So IL lags voltage by an angle of theta 1, right? So theta 1 is the phase angle between voltage and current. So this cos theta 1 is the power factor of first circuit. Now after adding a capacitor, now what happens is that this phasor IL, it moves closer towards V. So I, you can see that this is the current I, right? So I is the total current in the second circuit, right? So this is I lags V by an angle of theta 2, right? So again this is lagging, and the second circuit has a power factor of cos theta 2, right? So it is clear from this diagram that by adding a capacitor, the phase angle between voltage and current, it gets reduced, right? So theta 1, if you compare theta 1 and theta 2, theta 1 is larger compared to theta 2. So after adding a capacitor, the phase angle between voltage and current is minimized. So our ultimate aim is to bring this voltage and current in phase with each other, so that we will get a power factor of 1. Okay, so by adding a capacitor, we know that the phase angle between voltage and current is reduced. Now, so thereby we can increase the power factor. We also notice from the magnitude of the vectors in figure 11.28 that with the same supplied voltage, the circuit in figure 11 draws a larger current IL than the current I drawn from the circuit. So from this diagram we can also notice that this circuit absorbs larger current compared to the second circuit, because P is equal to Vi cos of theta V minus theta I. So V into I into cos of theta V minus theta I. So this will give you the larger value compared to the next one. So what happens is, this circuit, it occupies more current compared to this circuit. Our ultimate aim is to reduce the amount of current absorbed, so that the power factor is maintained at unity. Now what we will be doing is, depending upon the size of the capacitor chosen, then the voltage and current will be made in phase with each other, maintaining a power factor at unity. So depending upon the size of the capacitor, power factor can be brought to unity. Now this can be looked at from another perspective. So let us consider this power triangle again. We know that this power is the P is the real power, Q is the reactive power, and S is the complex power. So if the original load is inductive and it has an apparent power of S1, so S1 is the apparent power of the first circuit. Okay, let us consider S1 is the apparent power of the first circuit. Then P can be, that is real power, can be written as S1 cos theta 1, and Q can be written as S1 sin theta 1, because we know that S is equal to P plus JQ. So from that we can write P is equal to S1 cos theta 1 and Q1 is equal to S1 sin theta 1. This can also be written as P tan theta 1. Now if you substitute P as sin S1 cos theta 1 here, and tan theta can be written as sin theta 1 by cos theta 1. So cos theta will get cancelled. Again you will get S1 sin theta 1. Okay, so Q1 is also equal to P tan theta 1. If you substitute the value of P here and see, you will get again this one. Okay, so Q1 is P tan theta 1. Now what we are desiring to do is, we want to improve the power factor from cos theta 1 to cos theta 2 without altering the value of P, right? So cos theta 1 is the power factor angle for the first circuit, and we want to make it to theta 2 without altering the value of P, right? So next, then the new reactive power Q2 can be written as P tan theta 2. So this reduction in the reactive power is caused by the shunt capacitor, that is, we have added a capacitor here. This will make the reactive power less, right? So QC is the reactive power, that is QC is the reactive power reduced by adding the capacitor, right? So QC is equal to Q1 minus Q2. So P of tan theta 1 minus tan theta 2. So from equation 11.46, that is 11.46 is we know that reactive power is equal to Vrms by Z star. So here it is reactive power, so you can write it as Xc. Xc is the capacitive reactance. So capacitive reactance Xc is equal to 1 by J omega C, right? So here QC can be written as omega C Vrms square. So from this we can determine the value of capacitance that has to be added in parallel, so that we can get a power factor closer to unity. So C is equal to QC by omega Vrms square. QC can be written as P into tan theta 1 minus tan theta 2 by omega Vrms square. Now we know that the real power dissipated by the load, it is not affected by the power factor correction, because the average power due to the capacitance is 0. We know that inductance and capacitance has an average power of 0. So by introducing the capacitor into the circuit, we didn't alter the original real power that is consumed by the circuit. So although most of the situation we have inductive load, in some cases we will have the possibility of having the capacitive load. The load itself can be capacitive. So in that case you will have a leading power factor. So what you will do is, we have to bring down the power factor again, right? So we will be adding an inductor in parallel. So and the value of the inductor is given by this. QL is equal to Vrms square by XL, which is equal to Vrms square by omega L, which is equal to L. So from this, L is equal to Vrms square by omega QL, where QL will be equal to Q1 minus Q2, the difference between the new and old reactive powers. So this is how we improve the power factor. So if your load is inductive in nature, by adding a capacitor in parallel, you can bring the power factor closer to unity. Similarly, if your load is capacitive in nature, by adding an inductor in parallel, you can bring the power factor closer to unity. So this is the concept of power factor correction.